Linocut is a printmaking process which can create beautiful, bold prints with clean lines and clear shapes, and involves the joyful element of carving. An extra bonus is that it can be tried at home, and there are handy starter kits available for lino newbies at most craft stores. It's a relief printmaking process, which means that ink gets applied to the uppermost surface areas of a plate. In Linocut, the plate is a lino tile, and areas of its surface get carved away, and whatever is left untouched is what gets inked up and printed from. It's a methodical, intentional process which can result in intricate, dynamic designs, and once a plate is carved, it can be printed from again and again. Ooh, it's hugely satisfying! Come take a look at the basic process with me and see if you would like to give it a try. Let's dive into some materials for the carving stage. Firstly, you'll need a carving tool. A while ago I bought a Linocut starter kit which had this handy tool inside, and it works great, so I've stuck with it. It has a handle and a selection of carving nibs. You simply slot a nib into the handle, tighten the screw, and it's ready to go. Next, you'll need a surface to carve. Pieces of lino like this can be bought from craft stores in all different sizes, but you can also easily cut these tiles down to size using a craft knife too. Here's an extra random tip. Lino tiles can be harder to carve when they are cold, and seeing as everything in my shed at this time of year is cold, I'm warming my tile in front of a heater. As I go along, if it starts getting stiff again, I give it a little heat blast. I have drawn a rough design on my iPad and printed it out, so now I need to transfer it onto my lino tile. I'm placing tracing paper on top of it and then tracing the general outlines of the design with a soft pencil. Once I have finished tracing, I then flip the tracing paper over and place it on top of my lino tile. Using a harder pencil, I trace back over the design again, and this pushes the graphite from the paper down onto the tile. This method is also handy because it automatically flips my design for me. It's always handy to remember that the final lino prints will be reverse images of the tile. In peeling away the tracing, I now have a design on my tile to follow. However, if some bits were missed or look a bit faint, you can easily draw them darker directly on the tile. First cut is always the most, oh my goodness, hang on a minute, how hard do I press? Eek! That's okay, that's normal. Just take it slowly and always keep your fingers out of the way as much as possible. Carving, by the way, is hugely therapeutic. I find it very relaxing. It's weird to say that about something that involves wielding a sharp tool, but I find the same thing with wood carving too. I think the sharp tools actually force me into a specific type of focus. They ensure that I can only concentrate on this moment, and so everything else falls away. It's pretty nice. Also, how satisfying is this long curly bit of lino noodle? Very. As you carve, keep turning the tile to make sure that you are able to control your carving lines easier. Also, it's important to have a good source of light to work in so that you can see exactly where you are carving. There may be fast carvers who exist out there, but for me, slow is the name of the game with Linocut. Why rush something like this? Why not slowly bring something into existence, line by line, and let the minutes drift? The main point to remember as you carve is that whatever surface area you don't touch is the area which will hold the ink later for printing. Anything that you carve away will create the white or the empty areas on the print. The materials you'll need for printing are a tray or shiny surface to roll ink on, a roller to roll the ink with, and some ink. I'm using SD water-based ink here because it's easy to clean. Blob a little ink down and spread it into a line across the top of your rolling area with a piece of card. Placing the roller into the ink line, draw it towards you to start pulling out the ink into a patch. Keep lifting the roller, letting it spin, placing it back down, and rolling until the ink starts to even out. It takes a little practice to get the hang of how thick it needs to be. You're looking for thick-ish. which I realise is an unhelpful term. But the best way to learn is to do, and the great thing about Linocuts is that you can print from them again and again quite quickly, so just jump in and see what happens. Roll the inky roller across the surface of the Linocut until you feel you have covered it evenly. I am leaving my edges a bit rough here because I like the look of it, so there are no real rules and there are plenty of ways to play. Once you're happy, place a piece of paper on top of the lino tile. I'm using a basic printer paper here, around 100 GSM. Now the thing you need here is pressure. Dung 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 dung. I always start with my hands, pressing as firmly as I can with the broad flat of my palm, moving across the paper to ensure all areas of the tile get attention. But you can also experiment with pressing down using things like wooden spatulas or, like I have here, a small piece of wood. When you feel ready, it's time for the surprise. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the great thing about Linocut is that if the print doesn't come out the way you hoped, like how this first print is a little light, you can immediately re-ink and press it again. Try a bit more ink on the tile or press it a little differently and compare the results. This second print came out a lot darker and clearer, and I really like it. Also, the added bonus here is that if you spot elements in your print which you think could be improved on carving wise, for example, in my print I can see lots of line edges which are a bit messy. You can simply clean the ink off the tile and return to the carving stage. I'll definitely be going back in with my carving tool to neaten some of those pesky lines up. So that is Linocut in a nutshell. Will you be trying it? I hope you will, because it is truly a satisfying process. Thanks so much for watching this video. If it was helpful at all, please do consider giving it a thumbs up on the like button. It really does help to support my channel. And let me know in the comments what you think about Linocut or indeed printmaking in general. Keep making happy, and I'll see you next time.